Welcome to Museum Minds. It's the Ninja Education Ninja Day. Oh my gosh, we're all about being stealthy. If you know me at all, if you've seen maybe like two posts of mine on LinkedIn or social media, or you've talked to me, you know that being an education ninja is my jam. So I'm so excited for you to be here. But before we dive in, what is Museum Minds? I'm getting way ahead of myself. Rainey, do you want to give us a lowdown on what Museum Minds is?
I would
Because you're my first museum bestie when it comes to Museum Minds.
I would love that. So let me give you a really quick background about Beth and I. We met in a business mastermind about 2 years ago, and I'm feeling really mushy today about this registration that we reached and where we're at. And then we've been doing this for over a year. But I want to say that the mastermind was great and all, but I got to meet Beth, and I think that was the biggest value of the entire mastermind. So we have our own independent businesses and we work really closely with each other. But we just noticed a lot of people had so many questions about so many different topics related to museums, whether it's fundraising or marketing or you name it, partnerships, education, being an education ninja. So we decided to start Museum Minds, and it fortunately has caught on. Again, it's a free meetup every month where we cover different topics. And the first half we talk a lot and educate a lot, and then the second half is just a lot of Q&A and networking. So again, I'm really happy that everyone is here today.
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. I was just slowly going through the chat and seeing so many of our repeaters. Lots of new friends. Lynn Meadows Discovery Center. Oh my gosh, you've been here before. My friends at Great River Children's Museum. Big claps. They just opened on June 10th. They're literally one day away from a month of being open. Oh my gosh, I did a leadership intensive with them and I'm so excited to see how things are going. Okay, someone is a little distracted today. It's me. All right, that's why you joined this call because it's unlike others and we have way more fun. Maybe it's me that does all the laughing, but I don't mind because that's what makes life fun. So, what is Museum Minds? If you are a newbie, you get it. Why we are here. Rainey and I just love talking about museums. And part of that really started the way in which we present. We do like this little 5 to 10 minute, like just get started, introductions, throw your name in the chat, where are you from, things like that. If you want to connect with other people on the call, feel free to also put your email in there because of the fact that if you say something cool or if you comment something cool, folks can go back and then email and connect with you. That's the whole idea of Museum Minds collaboration. We want to bring museum besties together across the industry. So we do that little introduction in the beginning. Then we do like 20 to 25 minutes of learning. Today I'm presenting, obviously, about the things I love being education ninjas. Then we have like a literally like 1 to 2 minute intermission where we get to have a drink of water after doing all this talking. You get to formulate some really awesome questions for your fellow hive mind or for us. We actually ask the group to answer each other's questions a lot and give feedback. So we do that after we come back from intermission. And if you gotta jump off the call at the half hour, like we get it, but we also know that you're missing the best, well, second best, but also more like the most fun part of having this cool network of people that you get to talk and swap ideas with. And again, based on the registration, you all are very interested about museum education and engagement and how to really sneak in all that good learning in our museums. All right, so that's where we're headed today, and that's what we're going to talk about. Who are we? Who are these people? So oftentimes we come to conference and people say, "Oh my gosh, this is what you look in real life," because we do so much online goodness. I'm Beth Housewort. See my name there. I run Inspired Impact. And after about 25 years in the museum industry, through leadership, overseeing education, exhibits, frontline teams, I was like, it's time to work nationwide. And if you look at our registration for this call, we're actually working globally. It's so amazing. We have calls from across the globe, folks logging into this call. It's amazing. So, anyways, I do a lot of leadership coaching. I also do workshops about museum engagement, all kinds of stuff. You're going to hear about that at the end of the call. So, Rainey, who are you?
Who am I? So my name is Rainey, and it's pronounced Rainy, not Ronnie, but I'll take either one. I'm used to it. My business is Neptune Sugar, and I primarily work with arts and culture organizations to help them elevate their marketing and better reach their audiences without the overwhelm.
Welcome to Zoom.
So
Enter your meeting ID.
there we go.
Awesome.
Okay, did I get it? I didn't mute you this time. Um,
You got it. You got it.
so yeah, like Beth, I do a lot of consulting and digital courses and live workshops as well, which we'll talk at the very end. So yeah, that's me.
Woohoo! Woohoo! So, we're at that mark. We've done our intros. We're ready to get in on the goodness. And thank you for whoever put happy birthday in the comments. I'm a huge birthday celebrator, and my birthday was at the beginning of the month. So thank you. Another year younger, of course. All right, so let's dive in. It's time for the ninja moves, my friends. But before we get started, I want to kind of level out and see where everybody's at because we bring so many different types of museums into this call. I kind of want to know where we're at so that I can help you out a little bit more. So, in the chat, what's a word or phrase that describes museum education in your building? Just okay. So Laura says traditional, anti-racist, field trips, the lobby, conversational and interactive. Yay, Sam! In its infancy. Ooh, yes. I love those kind of people. Exploration and discovery, hands-on, student-led, varied. It's heritage education, simulation-based curricula, integration and class tours, multi-age, local tribal sovereignty, school groups. It's playful, experimental, flexible, tour-based. Ooh, I love all these words. Oh my gosh. When I was putting together this presentation, I really wanted to temper what my automatic would be, my assumptions and things like that about folks and how they do museum engagement. So this is really validating all the goodness that I have thought about already. All right. So outdoor learning. Yay, Christine. Outdoor learning. Okay, Christine, you need to make sure that you connect with Rochelle Ahmad. She is doing an all outdoor children's museum. So make sure the two of you find each other in the chat. All right. Oh, Tracy's outdoors too. Rochelle, here's come a little subgroup here. All right. So talk in the chat amongst yourselves. All right. So now, secondarily, what's most important in your museum when you're doing programming? Is it the content? Is it the audience needs? Or is it to have a good time and have some fun? Again, go ahead and put it in the chat. If you want to come off mute, you're welcome to do that. But what do you think is the most important? Yes, the fun, Anthony. Yes, please. You know where it is for me. Content, 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 content. Ooh, connection. Ooh, I love that one. A combo of all the three. Fun and needs. Ooh, this is really good. Both audience needs and the fun. Audience, yes, yes. Hopefully all three, but educating the public about Native life, past and present. Ooh, that can get tricky. Currently content, but we want to restructure for audience needs. Oh my gosh, Jennifer from Cedar Rapids, you're in the right place. So good. All right, last question. Last one. How do you present your information now? There was a lot of good answers kind of in that question. The first question gave a lot of those examples. So maybe this is a little bit of a repeat of what you may have answered earlier. But how do you present? If you're an art museum, are you primarily doing docent tours? If you are a science museum, are you doing hands-on experimentation demos? Things like that. Tours and collection study. Oh, I have to tell you, Chris Lamack, I was at the Children's Museum of Indianapolis and took a behind the scenes tour of their collections area. Phenomenal. Oh my gosh, I love that kind of stuff. All right, guided tours, tours. Ooh, you guys are getting a lot of good stuff here today. Observation leading to interpretation using artful thinking routines. Ooh, I'd love to hear more about that in the Q&A. Education available in interpretive spaces, student and adult tours, gallery talks. We're a virtual museum. Oh, fantastic. Hands-on simulations and tours, field trips. Yes. Oh my gosh, there's so many good answers here. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. All right. So let's get into the goodness because we have 30 minutes left. Now it's time to learn some ninja moves. I love this little girl. She is so living her ninja girl self right here. So we're going to learn some ninja moves today. And some of them, yes, they could feel kind of basic. They could feel like you're getting started, but I'm letting you know now, reminding ourselves that the basics work, but also for those of you who are doing kind of canned curriculum or lessons or tours that have happened in the past, I loved that comment of we're trying to restructure. So take some of these into account. So what I did for you, because I love a good thing to remember, some good, what are those called when we have each thing with a different letter? I'm an educator and I can't even remember. So, anyways, mnemonic devices. Thank you, Tracy. Literally, I was talking about it this weekend with a friend. So, I love doing that type of thing because it helps us to remember in quick ways that kind of trigger bigger content. So, today we're talking about our ninja moves. And that seems to be my only ninja move that I know. So, we're going to nest the content. We're going to talk about a little bit about how we're going to put the person first and the content second. So, how is that content affecting or integrating into someone's life? Then we're going to invite curiosity as our second ninja move. We're going to nudge it with a game because I said I was in the museum world for 25 years, but I was in the children's museum world for the majority of that. So, hello, we know how to play a good game and we can make them up on the spot. So, we're going to nudge it with a game for number 3. Number 4 is just a tiny bit more about bonuses and the unexpected, little things like that. And then, of course, 5, staying true to the heart of hearts inside me, is adding loose parts. Some people call them different things in museum, consumable things, toys, artifacts. I call them loose parts because they're parts of exhibits that are not attached to the floor. They're things that you bring out onto the floor. They're Kiva blocks that you can have 15,000 of them as opposed to 3. Things like that. So you're going to hear more about the goodness when it comes to that. All right, so first off, we're going to talk a little bit about nesting the content. You start with what matters to the person, and then you kind of layer on that. Make it personal, make it local, make it relevant so that your visitors can feel seen and they're connecting to the actual content. Because when it's lecture style and you're just spewing content over and over and over again, it's hard to make it relevant to ourselves. So if you start with it being relevant, it's really easy. So what you're going to see throughout the entire thing is that I am using today to highlight all of the amazing museums. Well, I shouldn't say all, a very, very small sprinkling of museums that are doing this well and that I enjoy having some ninja education on me, right? All right, Allison, you got it right. Science Museum of Minnesota. Here we are. I was just there a couple months ago. And how can they make it personal? Everybody loves a good selfie. Hello. If you've been on any of my social media, you know I love a good selfie. I literally took one 3 minutes before this call started, and Rainey can tell you that's true. So they set up this science museum exhibit that's all about scale and perception and different things like that with these selfie stations. A giant chair. Who doesn't love to sit in a giant chair and take your picture with it? And then complementing it all the way down to this tiny little like Goldilocks chair. How fun is that? Not only am I learning content about scale and perception and things like that, but on top of it, I might actually post these pictures somewhere. They could have also put some branding on those mirrors. But it's one of those things that they're tying into the fact that I like to take a selfie. And that's how I'm learning and looking at that. And even when I put them on the slide, like, how can I size these appropriately so it really makes a drastic effect? So there's one. Science Museum of Minnesota. Here's another one, Conservancy of Southwest Florida. These are one of my clients. We did a really awesome interpretation evaluation with them. So they could do what you see over here on this side. They could just do a lecture. They could stand up and talk and just tell people about what's happening in the ecosystem of Southwest Florida where I live. But what did they do? They brought out this giant snake skin to make it personal. And they started asking the kids, how many tall of you do you think this snake skin is? Oh my goodness. How, relating it back to, do you think the snake skin is as long as you can jump? Little things like that. Then they did a tour up here. This was all for their Earth Day programming. And the tour was not about trees of Southwest Florida, but it was titled Your Backyard Trees. Again, making that connection to make it personal. It's not just about learning about different species of trees and where they grow in Southwest Florida, but it's your backyard trees and how you can learn about them. So cool. All right, here's another one. I love my Minnesota people today. And there's a few of them that are on the call here regularly too. So here's Minnesota Children's Museum. And I have to tell you that this is part of the reason why I did this call, because oftentimes when you talk about a museum exhibit that involves math, everybody runs away or everybody groans and everybody's like, oh, I hate teaching math. Oh, it's just numbers and it's just addition. And we're not here to be boring. We're here to have tons of fun. So again, Minnesota Children's Museum has turned this whole math exhibit into this really cool interactive space where I literally got to take a sticker and put it on the wall as tall as I was, right? How cool is that? Because of the fact that I'm putting my own personal stamp of who I am on their wall, and it's going to stay there for a long, long time. And from the exhibit's perspective, having to scrape all those stickers off the wall, I sure hope that that backdrop is like removable because that would be such a pain in the neck. But go, Michelle. Go, your friends. You're doing it. But the cool thing about this is, again, how tall are you in feet? But also, how tall are you in rabbits? And there's a little stacking of rabbits on the side there. How tall are you in comparison to everybody else who has a sticker there? And I'm telling you the craziest thing. I put my sticker up there and I turned around and of course I wanted to take a picture of it and I didn't include it here. But this one right here, if you can see my little blue dot, That person's name was also Beth. I thought it was the craziest thing. It was like, how in the world is it that I put my name up there and someone right next to me has the same name? So cool. All right, so let's go to the next one, inviting curiosity. Here's my ninja move. Inviting curiosity. This is all about asking questions. A lot of times you can go through a tour, you can have a field trip, things like that, where a lot of content is given. And even if it's relatable to who you are as a person, and you're talking about your backyard and how tall are you, how oftentimes do you get to talk or ask a question or have a question asked of you? And I have to tell you, in today's world, it's hard sometimes to talk to people you don't know. And I think that there is also an age gap there too. I did a training yesterday with lots of teenagers, and it was like pulling teeth to get them to talk. But I can tell you that by the end of the training, they got it because I kept inviting them to talk. I kept asking questions. I found different ways to ask for volunteers. If your name starts with an S, and then you look around and everybody knows your name, so hello, you can't not answer. If your birthday is in July, like mine, things like that. If you are the tallest person in the group, what do you think? So ask questions and then wait. Pause and wait for a response. Give people thinking time. As excited as I get and as energetic as I can be, there's lots of times where I need to mull things over and think for a good answer. So give people time. Silence is golden. Sometimes I have to remember that myself. But, anyways, ask those questions and create space for thinking and wondering. It's even more impactful when people answer the questions and give you some nugget of amazing language that you can then reuse through the rest of the lesson or interaction. Here's a great example, and here's at Louisiana Children's Museum when we went down there for ACM. It was so much fun, man. That was years ago. But why do you think crawfish change from gray to red when cooked? And the crazy part about it is if you look down at the bottom, they never answer the question. It's just prompting the parent to ask the child the question. There, there's a right answer somewhere, but is the answer the important part, or is the inquiry and curiosity the important part? I love this. Kudos, Louisiana. If anybody's here from there, well done. All right, here's another one. Oh, can you see that picture from Denver? Oh, no, I wonder why. Oh, should I hope? Oh, shoot, sorry. I hope it doesn't happen following up. Oh, goodness. So what was I talking about in Denver? Um,
I'm looking.
are you looking back
I'm
in
trying to
Canada?
look, but I'm
So I'm going to go into this one, the Art Institute of Chicago. Oh my goodness. I grew up in the Midwest and I love the Midwest so much. Here's the Art Institute of Chicago. We can ask questions. And it makes me think about when I also was petitioning our art committee to adopt different things. And I would ask questions like, I see an animal in these totems. Does anybody else see an animal? What type of animal do you see? Then they're going to answer. You ask lots of answers, but that's so much easier than going ahead and saying the animals that are represented in these totems are depicting blah, 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 something like that. So it's a lot easier to ask those questions, help them identify and come together with it.
I just put the image in the chat.
Ooh, perfect. All right, cool. So this is a really cool thing. If you look at the chat really quick, it is a seek and find where there's just like a whole bunch of stuff and it's put into the exhibit with plexiglass on either side. It's kind of this thin wall, asking those questions of can you find and giving them time. And then you turn it into I Spy. Then they get to ask the questions like I'm having here. Here's a bonus I. Invite more questions Follow up with another question. Have them ask you a question. Here's another Midwest goodie. Shed Aquarium. This guy got to stand around with an ask me sign. He just come and ask me some questions. I bet you, if you're a museum person, you can totally relate. I bet you that 75% of those questions were what? What is the most asked question? Absolutely, Catherine, where's the bathroom? That is always the most asked question in like every museum. Or where's the gift shop? Oh my gosh, Alaska State Museum, Zachary, that's high hopes. I'm telling you. For every revenue generating store manager, that is their hope always, that people are asking the most asked question of where's the gift shop. By and large, it's where's the bathroom. Absolutely. All right. So here's another one. We're getting into, oh goodness, we have like 5 minutes. We're going to zoom through. I love doing slideshows of other museums. It's so great. All right, nudge it with a game. Woohoo! Turn learning into playful challenges. This is not something that only children's museums can do. Every museum can turn something into a game. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. A big reason why I started Museum Minds with Rainy, enter evil laugh, so that we could infiltrate every museum to be doing some play-based learning. So having this registration be so high is like fulfilling my goals in starting Museum Minds with Rainy. So I challenge every single one of you to put a game into some of your programming in your museum. And don't tell me we're a history museum where we have artifacts that you can't touch. There is a game in there. There is so much that can be had. Have a competition. Surprise them with something cool. Oh my gosh, make it a game. Here's my friends at the Science Museum of Minnesota again. How many people remember a cootie catcher? A fortune teller, all those fun things. Absolutely, Corey Elizabeth. Yes. They, in their math exhibit, made cootie catchers and said, here's how we learn about math through a game using the cootie catcher. And then also, here's a challenge. Take these fabric napkins and try to fold them into one of these shapes: triangle, square, rectangle. How can you do that? They're not telling them how to do it, but they're providing them with everything so they can try again and again and again. Math learning is about shapes. Yeah, but it's way more fun to figure out how you can turn a square into a triangle than just having somebody show you, right? Here's a fun matching game behind. Also math. Woohoo! Fantastic. Love it. All right. For real, are these gone too?
Yeah.
Okay, Rainey's gonna do her magic and she's gonna make it awesome for everybody. I do know what's in these two. Over here on this side, if you're a true ninja, your ninja eyes are seeing this picture right now. I'm just saying you because I know what it is. I can see it. The Above and Beyond, the Children's Museum in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, they're freaking amazing. And they do a scavenger hunt from their front desk all the time. Um, and also, while I'm explaining this, Rainey, I'm going to stop my share. And can you refresh Canva and then you share to see if it's going to show up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Refresh.
That's great because I have it up on the screen anyway. So let's see.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so I stopped my share. So Above and Beyond Children's Museum always does a scavenger hunt. They have 3 floors in their museum, and they always have the scavenger hunt going. It might be that the scavenger hunt is letters, like it was right there in the summer when I was there. Well, I was there in February, like February, March. They were getting ready for Shamrock and Roll. So they did an alphabet scavenger hunt. And you can see, oh shoot, now my pointer is gone. But what you can see, like next to those 2 posters, is a little X. And it's literally like the letters that you get from the teacher supply store. Really super easy, but I'm telling you, So many kids were going through and doing a scavenger hunt. Make it easy. It's so, so fun, right? All right, so let's go to the next slide and we will see our friends from Selby Gardens right here in Sarasota, Florida, and Explora in Albuquerque, New Mexico. If you were with me as an ACM person, we were just at Explora for the conference. Selby Gardens has musical instruments in the middle of their garden and suggestions of music to play. While we were there, they had an exhibit that was one of the Beatles, George Harrison, I think. And it had these like things up so that you too could play music. Make it a game. Yes, George Harrison, Tracy, you know what I'm talking about. And then Explora, I love it. They didn't just put bubble wands out, they challenge you to make your own bubble wand. It's a tiny little change that makes engagement so much higher. I love it. I love it. All right, next slide. Here's the OG. Meow Wolf.
Yeah, well,
Oh my gosh. In Santa Fe. I love this place. But I also kind of hate it all at the same time. Like it is such a, I don't want to say a bad word, but it messes with your mind.
I had nightmares after.
Oh my gosh, right?
I
This
love it,
place.
but I had nightmares that night.
They turn everything into a game. You don't know what you're learning. You come away, like, I literally have a list in my notes app of the stuff that we talked about when we were in there and just the things that we said while we were doing things. Wow, is this real? Holy crap, that's amazing. Oh my goodness. It can I go there? How did that happen? All of these things. It was so amazing. But we were learning. Oh my gosh, we were learning a whole lot, but the entire place is a game. The entire place. All right. So now let's move on to Jay because we're nearly at time. But I know how to talk fast. So just a tiny bit more. Add a bonus. This is something that I talk about in my Wonder workshops. And you're getting a little bit for free here. Is like try to elevate just a tiny bit, go a little bit further with something unexpected, a bonus fact, a fun twist. It's like sparking extra curiosity to keep the conversation going, or sometimes it's a shock factor. Like you're doing an animal show or something like that. Well, let's talk about the poop because, everybody wonders about the poop. It's a little bit shocking, it's a little bit out of the ordinary, but you're making it memorable. And that's the important part. So, when you talk about a little bit more, let's go to the next slide and you will see one of my favorite places to locally volunteer at Empowerment Farm, this amazing little place. Not necessarily a museum, but a great explanation and example of how they took it a little bit further. In the beginning, they had, oh wow, look at this. Fantastic. We just got a notification that our meeting is full. We have currently broken the internet, friends. This is fantastic. Anybody else who's trying to log on right now is going to get a recording. Lucky all of you, you got the bonus of logging on when you did. We have officially broken the internet. All right, friends. So here it is. They had coloring sheets of these animals. And I'm not a huge fan of coloring sheets. I'm really not. There's just part of it. But then they actually brought the animals out and they had the animals paint with us. Oh my gosh, here's my favorite little guy, Herbert, who peed all over my foot when I was showing him to the kids. Oh my gosh, so fun. And then there's Yoda. He's this ginormous tortoise who also did a little painting with us that day. Way to bring the bonus, way to level up a little bit. I love those ladies over there. All right, next slide is specifically for our art gallery people and our art museum people. Hello, Cole Children's Museum in Chicago, Illinois. Taking a piece of artwork and putting me right into it because it is an exhibit that I can sit there and get my selfie inside of a real piece of art. That's so cool. And maybe your exhibit budget is not huge like theirs. That's a full traveling exhibit, by the way, that you can rent from Cole. But maybe you're like, come on, over here, my old alma mater, we have this great piece that is Anne in the yellow dress, and she's sitting on a red chair with an orange cat on her lap. Go ahead and sit on our red chair and put this little orange kitty on your lap and get a picture. Two totally different budgets, both the same idea, adding a little bonus into your exhibit space. All right, here's two more examples on the next slide. Again, very, very low on the first one, just a prompt. Pretend I'm the daddy and you're the kid. This was at a hand washing station, again, at the Minnesota Science Museum or Science Center. It's a game that's being presented with just a single sentence prompt. You can do that by just saying it. That costs zero money, zero money. Or like the National Naval Aviation Museum in Pensacola, Florida, where I just was to get my Air Force kid, they actually took the stairwell to get into the plane and made it the stairs to get to their second level. How cool is that? That's a bonus. That's something unexpected. I can actually walk here. This is not an artifact that I just look at. How awesome is that? All right. So now let's zoom through our A's, even though it's my favorite one. Oh, goodness. We want to have time for Q&A. All right. So for the A's, it's about adding loose parts. Again, what you might call toys, I call them loose parts because there's so much more than just a toy. They're an educational component that you're adding to what you're doing. So, loose parts equals open minds. Getting your hands on things makes the connection. It makes it memorable. Adding another level of learning to do hands-on learning and auditory learning and visual learning. Every time you add another level of learning on, the content's going to stick even better. So, first up is one for your art museum folks. Here is the Minnesota, again, because I was just in Minnesota. You're getting all my most recent pictures because I take about a cajillion. Minnesota College of Art and Design. This is a sound suit. I can't remember the artist's name, but so cool. It had all of these like vintage toys on it, Jack in a Box, the top, all of these Nick Cave. Thank you so much to all of you guys who are telling me this. Amazing. The meaning behind the suit is very deep and very complex, and you need to look it up. It's really, really interesting. But the docent who was over in the corner had an old school top that you could actually touch and play with. That's a bonus. That's something leveling it up and making it more meaningful. All right, so then next up, we have the Minnesota Science Center. Again, all of my Midwesty goodness, literally, these are like pictures from the last couple months of my travels. The first one is from Orlando Science Center. That's local to me. Big geode, super cool. Minnesota Science Center has turned that into something totally different. This is an exchange where you can bring in your own geode that you found somewhere, broke it open, did some research, and they give you points and you can trade it for something else. Collector's Corner. Oh my gosh, Allison, Collector's Corner was your first job with teary eyes. So that means it was impactful and it was so amazing. All right, next slide. My friends over at Great River Children's Museum, I was doing the leadership intensive there. And of course, we walk the walk. We're not just using loose parts on our exhibit floor. We are putting them into our meetings. We were learning the mission of the organization, which is on those big sticky notes in the back. For one, we did a dance and a chant, and it had hand motions. Yeah, it's kooky and weird, but it gets people out of their shells and they have to move. And I had all these toys out there as we're getting the meeting started so that we could do a couple different activities with them. And of course, there's their loose parts fishing. They're learning about local fish by actually catching stuffed replicas of them. All right, let's see. We have 3 slides left. Here's the John Michael Kohler Art Center in Kohler, Wisconsin. More Midwest goodness. In the middle of their huge art gallery, They had two tables that were please touch tables. And I'm telling you, as a museum person, when I was standing there touching and people were giving me like the side eye and they were like, I was standing, like, I literally positioned myself right next to the sign that said, please touch, like at my hip, so that people, when they looked at me and gave me the side eye, I was like, it's telling me to touch it for real. I'm in an art gallery and it's telling me to touch. I love this. So, so wonderful. All right, next slide. In true children's museum fashion, let's build a teepee in Santa Fe. Oh my goodness. I'm doing training and some coaching for Santa Fe Children's Museum, and they have this whole area here to build your own teepee. It's the coolest thing. Again, they're teaching all about indigenous culture and different types of home. They're also teaching about engineering and teamwork and collaboration. Ugh, and great selfies too. So, that is our roundup of our ninja skills. Oh my gosh, so good. Nest your content, make it personal. Invite curiosity, ask questions, and have questions extra. Let them ask questions. Nudge it with a game, just a tiny bit more, and add some loose parts. Oh my goodness. All right. If you loved this, I do a whole workshop about this. I can't not give a little commercial if you want to level up your ninja skills. Here's what people are saying about my workshops. It's legitimizing people's jobs on the floor. You're talking more about all these things. So just go to the website, my website, inspired dash, get your ninja dash in there, inspired impact.com, and you can sign up for some workshops. The next one is literally like coming up on the 28th, I think. So that's how you can level up your ninja skills by learning more about museum engagement. My first one is 3 essential steps in museum engagement. And then my second one is diving into all the learning and education that happens in the most kind of popular exhibit spaces, Wonder Makers and Wonder Why. So, be ninjas. It's so cool. Rainey's going to tell about how you can be a ninja to do a little bit marking. And then I think we probably will just zoom right into Q&A because our intermission time was me chatting. Okay, Rainey, give it to us real quick.
Also, if I weren't running the slides, I would be putting a bunch of stuff in the chat, which I will do eventually, about all of this information, and you will get a follow-up email about all of this. So let's talk about my upcoming workshop, which is next week, called Fundraising on Social Media, Strategies That Work. So basically, I'm going to be combining information about my experience, increasing social media giving by about 40%, as well as some tactics from this book, One Click to Give. So a little bit of a combination there, but I always want things to be super valuable, super informative, and super affordable. So it's just $47. And I just want to pack in as much value as possible so you can walk away with as much as possible, including a social media fundraising checklist, mini campaign planner, a storytelling guide based on a previous webinar I've done, and a live Q&A after. And nobody's ever taken me up on this, but I say if you want some one-on-one advice, stick around after and ask me anything. I recognize we have a ton of education people out there. So if you're not the right person for this, please feel free to forward it on to your marketing person. It's going to be a lot of really good information. And we do discovery calls. So just FYI, anytime you just want to chat, see if it's fit, or just pick our brains for 30 minutes, we do free 30-minute discovery calls. And again, we will send you all of this information in email and put it in the chat. So did we cover everything? Oh, we got to talk about next month. I
And
guess
because you love a free call like
I
this one,
know
let's
it's
plan
and
on breaking the internet next month too. I'm just saying.
yeah. So that was all our, you don't have to buy our courses. We love it when you do, but we will always have Museum Minds as a free meetup every month. And next month, I am taking the stage and talking about email marketing. And basically, it's really interesting because it seems like everybody is always so interested in social media, which again, I'm doing a whole workshop on it. But I think sometimes email marketing gets forgotten about. And even some of the marketing masters out there, like Seth Godin and Amy Porterfield, they talk about how they prefer email marketing over social media. In fact, Seth Godin said something about, when you're on social media, you're just giving money to Mark Zuckerberg. And he really prefers maintaining his own list and his own group of people. And Amy Porterfield talks about it in a way where, social media is an ever-changing landscape. And, the nice thing about email marketing is it's your list, it's your own list, and you get to manage it and you get to talk to your people in however you want. So, anyway, we hope you will join us next month. And again, we will give you all the information about how to register for that.
Yes, we love Museum Minds. Like literally, it's like the best day of the month. I have so much fun. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's hop into some Q&A. I put in the chat, get your questions ready. Put your questions in the chat. We're so excited. Estella Garzin asks, do you have a go-to question that reliably sparks engagement or generates a lot of responses from your audience? Um, I have probably like a handful of answers for this one, but my first one is always when people come to the front desk at the museum, I always say, have you been to the museum before? It's a yes or no, it's not open-ended, but it's much better than asking, how old are your kids? Things like that really focus in on the price structure, that type of thing. So that's a quick and easy one. But also when you're in the museum on the floor, a great decide once is, oh, have you been here before? Or what's your favorite exhibit? It's a great icebreaker that everybody has an answer to. It can be a yes or no. You can dive in a little bit more if you want to. Let's see. Oh, the other one that I absolutely love. Yes, I like Alyssa's too, that says, what do you notice? One of the other ones I love is not a question, but whenever you're in a make space or an art studio or even a building space, I ask, or use the statement, tell me more about what you're building. Oh my gosh, right, Alyssa? I'm right there with you. Tell me more. Because you can say things like, I love the cat you're drawing. It's not a question. But what you might hear is, oh no, this is not a cat. This is a camel that lives in Australia and it eats the plankton of the lake of Wada Wada Voodoo. Wow, I had no idea. I was so wrong when I said that was a cat. But if I would have said things like, tell me more, there you go. Fantastic. It's a great comment. All right, somebody else has got to run. Zachary, thanks for being here. Yes, Liz, you will have access to the recording every single Museum Minds that we do. You get an email within the next few days. I used to always say tomorrow, but sometimes it's 2 days when life like falls off the rails. Because it's just Rainey and I. We don't have a team, or we have a huge team. They all work right inside there. And we send the recording out. We are happy to have you watch it, share. But the way that you're always going to get that recording is to register. So even if you are really super interested in next month's topic but can't make it, register because then you're going to get the recording in the mail. All right. Any suggestions for games that work in small spaces? We are a historical house museum and we don't have a large gallery space for games or room for activities. Oh, ooh, Allison. Jennifer, thanks for that one. Bruce Moore, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Love it. Her question was about small spaces. One of the answers in the chat is some historic games like jacks or marbles, but also maybe a dice with questions on it. I just got a dry erase dice from the dollar store. Fantastic. The other thing that I'm thinking too is sometimes you want to do group games, but sometimes you also want to do individual challenges. There's a lot of introverts, surprisingly enough, like myself. I'm this extroverted, introverted kind of person. I'll probably on my couch for like 2 hours after this. That clipboard games are fantastic. clipboard scavenger hunts, like I mentioned earlier, seek and find type things. Maybe it's a journey or they have to travel from place to place. Maybe it's a passport. None of those things take square footage. They can be on a clipboard or they can be a print off or a dry erase or things like that. I try not to suggest app-based stuff as much because then people are distracted by phones, but it could be an audio that they can start and listen to on earbuds or rent or something like that. All right. Other questions? Other questions? Anybody, if you have one, feel free to come off mute and ask a question as well. Or collaborative answers for any of the last questions. If there's anybody on the call from one of the featured museums, raise your hand or say hello. I would love to know. I know that there was a Great River person on here earlier.
There's
All right,
there's a
here's
question.
another question from Sarah Greensburg at the Crow Museum. Crow Museum at UT, I think it is. It's cutting off on mine. How you evaluate learning of exhibition interactives. Oh my gosh. This is like the battle cry of every children's museum. How do you quantify curiosity? How do you quantify creativity? All of these things. Oh my goodness. One of the things that I used to do that I love is asking questions at the beginning of a field trip, asking questions, they're kind of leading, but that, and just a hand raise kind of things. How many people have ever seen a piece of artwork by Nick Cave? And then at the end, you can say, how many people have seen a piece of artwork by Nick Cave? They're going to raise their hand after they walk through the museum because you've done a really good job of connecting them to the artwork and intermingling that content into your conversations, your questions. Maybe you make a little song, maybe you tell a little joke or something like that. Make it unexpected. So I like those types of things. A lot of times for grants and things like that, it's just numbers, that's boring. Does anybody else have suggestions on how to evaluate learning of exhibition interactives? There's also tons of frameworks. I did on-site guest interaction uh, observations for the Conservancy of Southwest Florida, and I had a whole rubric of, how many minutes did they spend in these spaces? How engaged were they? Did they walk by? Did they stand in front of the space? Did they handle the interactive? It gets really, really deep if you're willing to put the time in, and you get some really good analysis and data from having a high level observational rubric. And I've done that a couple of times at different museums and gave them some really strong insights on how to move forward in their planning. But I'd love to hear what everybody else has done too. Oh, good question coming up. How do you tend to engage college students and young adults? Good question. Harkens back to my training of yesterday, where everybody watched the training like this. And I had to ask questions of, tell me an answer if your name starts with S, starts with K, starts with W, if your birthday's in July, things like that. One of the things that is by far something that gets my teenagers going is connecting with them personally. Just like nesting the content, find out what they are good at and then give that suggestion. And one of the things, again, here's some free content for my workshop. Decide once. Have them decide once about a really cool interactive that they know how to do, and it becomes the thing that they're known for. One of the examples is my Great River Children's Museum folks one of the people said, my decide once is that I love colors. So she actually had a little fan deck in her pocket that was all like theater gels, like the things that you can see through, um, as and like they're plastic and you can see through them. And she would ask the folks that are around, what's your favorite color? And then she would pull that color back from the deck and let the people look through the deck, things like that. So adding like some sort of support thing, but also encouraging them and empowering them to have their one thing that they're good at. And that's when they're not sure what to say and they're not sure what to do. What's your favorite color? Easy. Yes. Let's see what some of the other answers were. I love that people are plussing up all the goodness here. Um, Great question. Not leaving it up to them to make their own choices. Here are two options for a game to play on the floor. Both of them are great. You get to choose. I love that. Young adults at this age tend to be quite self-conscious and unwilling to speak up in front of groups. I agree. What's a canned question that they can ask? Have you been to the museum before? I'm here to help if you need it, and ask those prompts that are easier. They really connect with a feeling of being behind the scenes or having hidden info. When I do architecture tours, I take them into the basement and they love it. They are thrilled. I'm not a teenager and I love behind the scenes. Oh my gosh, doesn't everybody? I've also had success with Jeopardy and Quizzo things. Oh, okay. Okay, here's what is the website? Bazinga.io, bazinga.ia, something is an online Jeopardy game that you can play. All you have to do is put the clues in, and then they can use their phone as a buzzer. So you don't have to have any other things. I use this in my trainings all of the time, and we put all kinds of content about the museums, and we play Jeopardy. It keeps score for you. You can put daily doubles in, all kinds of things. Bazinga, I'll put it in the email. I promise. I promise. I will. When I have guest lecture in college courses, I really helps to give them explicit permission to play. In my workshops, I say, this is your toolbox of yes. All of these things you can do. You do not have to ask permission. These are all yeses. So good. Oh my gosh, it's 3:01 already. Friends, this was amazing. This was so, so good. Oh, someone found it. Bazinga.io. That's the one. We'll put it in the email again. So here we go, friends. We are at the end of our call. We sure hope that we see you next month for Send It. I hope Rainey also has ninja moves when she sends it. It's been amazing. It really has. Thank you so much for breaking the internet with us. It's been so good. Give us a call. Let us know if you need any help. We're here to talk museums all the time. Just recently, I also posted on LinkedIn the connection to my calendar to just grab some time if you want to talk about museums. I'm happy to help in any way. Rainey, do you have last words for all of our friends?
No, again, I'm just giddy that we had so many people today and we have so much interest and I just want to compliment you. Like you are an
Oh,
like I'm not just saying that to be nice. Like I am just like, oh my gosh, wow, look at all this. So anyway, it's a pleasure to work with you on this. So thanks everyone
awesome.
for coming.
It's been so fun. We hope that we can work with all of you guys. So we're going to see you back here next month, same day, same time. We do it to have comfort and predictability. We will see you again soon for Send It.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being here.